One of the huge motivational things about Fabrice, I think, is his spirit as a fighter. I think I've learned so much from him because of how much he has fought, not just through his accident, but through his life. You know, he's not been handed anything on a plate and he has fought for everything. And I admire him because through his accident, I was told so many negative things. I was told he'd be in a vegetative state forever, and if he wasn't, he'd have the mental capacity of a 2-year-old for life. He doesn't at all. He defied everything that they said would happen to him, and he's still fighting. Obviously, he's not playing, but I really feel like your passion as you have to want to live to live.
Football has always been something that I enjoyed doing, and you know, when I was young, and I used to play football a lot. And my mother and my father always encouraged me to do that, but also at the same time, they were so keen for me to study and to be able to have a good, you know, result on my education. And from a very young age, my mom was always make sure that, you know, I got everything done on time, my homework done on time, and then as soon as I finish my homework, and I can go and play football as much, you know, as much as I want.
I think one of the things that Fabrice found really challenging when he came to this country is the language barrier and being able to communicate with other people. You know, you're a young child, and I'm sure he wanted to say things that he just couldn't say because he couldn't put the words together at that time.
I carry my dictionary almost every single day in school and in different classes, and I was always willing to learn, because I just felt like if I'm gonna live here for a long time, then I might as well be able to learn the language, and which has taught me a lot about myself as well.
One of the huge motivating factors for Fabrice was the fact that he always wanted to be a professional football player. And I feel like him being rejected initially from the Arsenal Academy was a motivating factor for him. It was almost like it presented him with a challenge. Okay, I'm not good enough. Okay, I'll show you that I'm good enough. And I think the fact that they also said you need to practice and then you can have another trial. I personally feel for Fabrice, that was a glimmer of hope for him. Some people would have taken that as a negative and said, oh, I'm not good enough. They're just saying that because they want to get rid of me. But Fabrice took that as a challenge, and he went back and he did practice because he knew and believed that he could be a Premier League football player.
I was at Arsenal when I was 15, but then, you know, I signed my 1-year schoolboy contract, and from the year contract they gave me, and because I've improved so much in a year, by the time I left school, they gave me a YTS, so I wish I'd be going there full time for the time I turned 17. So I knew from when I was doing my GCSE that I've already got a job somewhere else waiting for me, so I need to just make sure that I get my GCSE right. I made my debut when I was 18 against Sunderland. We won 3-0. And then I went on loan the following year. When I moved from London to Birmingham, I lived by myself. So I had to adjust very quickly and learn a lot about life and depend on myself. And rather than calling mum every 5 minutes, what do I do here, what do I do there? My uncle, who is a university teacher at East London University, Uncle Paul, he was always banging in my head, education. And he would come in with different leaflets on this is what you're supposed to be doing. I know you're playing on Saturday, and maybe you go a couple of hours and just trying to get this done. And he brought me the brochure for Open University. And he said, have a reading this, and then I think maths is a good subject for you. We'll play on a Saturday. I have my Sunday off. So Monday after training, I'll spend a couple of hours studying. I played for Birmingham and Bolton in the Premier League. And my first game for Birmingham was against Chelsea, the first game of the season. We lost 4-0, but the whole experience about the whole game, it was just phenomenal, you know. Change room, Premier League badges, and the player that you'd be facing. And to me, it was just an overwhelming experience that I still cherish to this day.
He had targets, he had goals, he knew where he wanted to be in 5 years, he knew where he wanted to be in 2 games. He literally had a book of goals that he wanted to achieve, and he also wrote stuff down, like, for example, he'd play and he'd watch a game and then he'd analyse it and write down everything that he did wrong. He was always trying to improve, always trying to be a better player, you know, be a faster player, do something more technical. He was just really, really driven and focused. And he'd stay behind after training as well, which a lot of players don't do. So he'd stay another hour, 2 hours to focus on whatever he wasn't doing correctly, just to try and be that better person. I think when Fabrice was at Bolton, an obstacle would always be getting into the starting 11. Even if you train really hard and you play really well, it's down to the manager to decide who plays and who doesn't play. I think one of the things he didn't like was training really hard, giving his all, and then not being in the starting 11. I think the highlight of playing was actually not the perks of the job. Obviously, they're a bonus and an incentive, but I think the main perk was actually winning and scoring those 3 points. I think it's true that Fabrice is a player that never gives up. I think there's a record of him like covering the most distance in one season. He literally does not stop. He is very driven and he always tries his best. And like I said, he's always trying to grow and evolve. There are people who have achieved more than Fabrice, and there are people that have achieved less. I think you can't be a person and not be influenced by people who you look up to, who have done it before. I do personally feel like if Fab hadn't had his accident, he would have gone on to achieve a lot more, just based on his mental capacity and how driven and focused he is. I don't feel you can be around a team and see other people achieving and not want to achieve yourself.
In life, you have your egos and you have your turkeys. Your ego is the one that help you to stay there and to fly as fast and high as possibly you can. And your turkeys are the one that, in the ground, they don't fly, but they want you to stay with them, so to eat everything that's on the floor. And I had my turkeys, and at some point, that wasn't good for me. It was a FA Cup game, and we were playing Tottenham at White Hart Lane. I knew 2 days before the game I'll be starting. At that time I wasn't really getting to play as much. I wanted to play in the Premier League, so I was in the bench most of the time. So I thought, you know, we weren't doing great in the league, and I thought this was an opportunity for me to go out there and give a good account of myself. And just before my incident happened, I started to feel very, very dizzy, very dizzy. And so I see double vision. When I see somebody, I can see them too at the same time. So my vision become very blurry. And all of a sudden, my head hit the floor the first time, and the second time, that's when I was completely gone.
The 23-year-old midfield player fell to the ground in the 41st minute of the game.
Very quickly it became apparent this was more serious than a normal injury.
A Premier League footballer is fighting for his life after collapsing on the pitch.
Everybody's rooting for him. We're desperate for good news.
Fabrice Muamba remains in a critical condition.
Get well soon, Fabrice, you know. Our thoughts are with you.
I'm just gutted. I just hope he pulls through. It's all about Muamba, it's not about Bolton Wanderers anymore.
Fabrice Muamba is in a critical condition. Doctors say it took 2 hours before his heart was able to pump on its own.
Owen Coyle, the Bolton manager.
Keep up the prayers. Thanks for all the support.
I think it just shocked everyone.
I had 3 doctors in the same place, and ambulance 30 seconds away from me, so it's like everything happened in the right place at the right time. And to me, I have had the best team to help me to recover from my accident.
I think the fact that he proved everyone wrong scientifically, you know, they couldn't explain his recovery, you know, it still baffles them. He didn't get oxygen for 78 minutes. If you stop getting oxygen for 4 minutes, then you start losing your mental capacity. He really shouldn't be here.
I don't really like hospital. So for me to stay there for a month was a huge battle, and I mean a huge, huge one. As soon as I started to breathe, I knew I would get better. I just knew it. I said I would get better. I would get better. And every day, slowly and surely, everything started to work, kicking into places, and you know, kidneys started to work, and my heart started to be normal again. You know, because when I woke up, I had about I was so wired up to the point where I can't barely move. So every single day they would take one wire off. So I knew, I started to count how many I've got left, so I know by the end of the month I had 2 left, which was on my neck. And by the time I'm leaving the hospital, I had nothing in there, which was great. The feeling that I miss is that you have in that you play in the Premier League, that there's no money in the world to buy that. You know, you can't. The excitement of going to the game of football, it's just at any level, you know, you can't buy it. To me, from now, I watch from the sideline as a fan, but I know deep down, it kills me. My objective from now to this day forward, the rest of my life, is I've got uni work to finish by Friday, which is deadline on Friday morning at 12 o'clock. So I need to make sure that I send it in tomorrow. That's number 1. Just spend time with my kids and spend time with family. You know, that's the most important thing. And finish my uni course and qualify to be a sport journalist, and from there see what happens.
Fundamentally, I think what makes Fabrice is just all the obstacles that he's overcome. Fabrice is a fighter, he's a warrior, and anything that you put in front of him, he takes it as a challenge.